Great question, Brendan. So what's happening basically right now with the PWHPA? Basically, the PWHPA, it's an association of all the professional players. And I will argue and say that it is the best talent that we have right now in women's hockey that are standing together from multiple national teams or even professional pool of hockey players. So Canada, Finland, US, even Sweden. Everyone is supporting this group and this association, and it happened because our league, the CWHL that we were playing in last year, folded. They seized all operations after a lack of finance and a business model that was no longer functional or viable per se. That's what they told us, and we believe it, but we also think that this was needed in order to actually get into the bigger pool or have a better opportunity for women's hockey. So the association itself has a mission to keep the momentum of women's hockey going, not only for us in the professional world, but more so to keep on having these little young girls or generations to come to keep on, having this dream or simply being able to dream to play professionally at some point in their life. We are faced when we're younger, and I'm going to elaborate a bit more, but as young female, even athletes of any kind, any sports, and hockey specifically, when you're about 7 years old, someone tells you at some point that you will never play in the NHL. And for a child, a kid, anything, you don't want to believe it, and you're like, I'll prove you wrong. And then you kind of always have this thing in mind, and you understand at some point that there's no way you'll ever play with the men's in the NHL. It just can't be possible. But the fact that we cannot dream as long as a young boy can dream to be in the NHL is the issue right now. And basically the Dream Gap Tour and everything that's related to the PWHPA, we're kind of creating this opportunity where young girls can come to the games and see it and dream to be it. I never really had at a young age, I never really had a female role model, a female hockey player. I got it after, seeing them potentially on TV at the Olympics in 2002, but even then, Joe Sakic was my guy and Patrick Roy for some odd reasons, But nowadays you see even young boys doing oral production or oral presentation, in elementary school about Marie-Philippe Poulin or Hilary Knight, and it's because we're in people's faces, or we have some visibility now, and this is just one kind of generation that will get to see that female should have the same opportunity that male and should see equal opportunities as well too. So that was a long answer, but basically our goal is to get these young person out there to see that a female and a boy, or a young girl and a young boy, should have the same dream. As an athlete, playing in team sports, you often have to deal with different characters, with different personalities, with a game plan or a strategy that you don't really see the end goal, but you trust where it's going, because you trust the mentors or the coaches or the people that are above you. And when you get a good motivator and a good coach, then it's easy to follow the path that he's going with, and it's easy also to trust that he's doing everything in his power to make sure that you perform at your best, but then that the team will actually benefit out of it. And when I walked into Sportlogiq, as cheesy as it sounds, it felt like it was an atmosphere like that. It felt like it was an atmosphere where people can thrive being whomever they are, and that we are going to give you the tools you need to actually perform at your best and be there for the rest of the team. And me specifically, with the product team and the hockey guys there, the pro, the ice, developers and everything, it kind of is the same thing. I was often a captain in those sports, and right now it's similar to leading this team and them glued together so that they can work with each other, and I can translate the word coming from above to the team, and it's everyone's on the same page, everyone's moving in one direction, not knowing necessarily what the true end goal is, but we know we're doing it for the team, and our end goals might be features or product that we're building, or coming to fruitions and stuff, but the process to get there needs to be healthy. And I think that really translated well for my part from my sports experience to what I'm doing here. I'm more taking it as like I'm the captain of this team, and I need everyone to give me, because I need to surround myself with the best in order to be the best team, type of thing. So everyone has a voice, and I strongly believe in that. Yeah. Time management has been a skill, I guess, that I could have answered the other questions with, but in college we had to balance, you know, our schedule with school and double majors and everything with hockey and training. I will say that it was easier in university. You're surrounded, they cook for you, they do anything. Now it's you get up, you try to squeeze in the morning a workout or some kind, rush to work, get into the meetings and everything. Potentially do a physio now and then, but I would say that time management and being able to be energized and healthy is a little tough. But when you love it, it adds to it. Like if I wasn't doing a job that I liked, or that really like I was looking and coming to work and like dreading it, I don't think it would be as easy as it is now. So yeah, it's it's balancing the couple hours of training and then the practices at night and then back at it in the morning. We usually leave the ice around 9:45 at night, if not 10, in Laval, and then I drive back to the Sud-Ouest, and you know, it's coming back to work the next day, but trying to get a workout at 7 a.m. if not earlier than that. So yeah, so not in a negative way at all yet. I actually never really thought that stats mattered before I got to Sportlogiq. And why I say that is that we were always presented with goals, assists, you know, time on ice. I don't even think we had it. Penalty minutes, plus minus, you know, the typical stuff that teams take, and often they were wrong, or, you know, I'm like, let's not focus on that. I did more than just these assists or goals, right? And now with everything that we are pulling and the reports we're giving and the time on ice and possession time and everything, I'm a little bit more conscious of like how much I touch the puck per se, or like even turnovers, or like it affects it, but I think I'm more at a potentially positive, or just being aware a bit more of like things that I could improve. I mean, we did a few games with Sportlogiq for the PWHPA, and I saw my numbers too, and I can tell you that from the first showcase to the second, it was better. So I think it helped for sure. Yeah, I think honestly, I think players would benefit a lot out of it when it's used the right way. Well, he gave us 4 archetypes per se. I think there's more than that, but I'd say like more around the playmakers and the power forwards, and then a slight of, I wouldn't say goon or anything, but when it needs to be physical, I am not scared to protect someone or a teammate or anything. I wouldn't classify myself as a goon now. But yeah, I think I can play both ways. So yeah, playmaker, I see the game pretty well, and I'm pretty intense. That's all I do. Kenny, you tell me what archetypes that might be. Yeah, that was a great question. So I've learned that, okay, so we do a lot of like tracking, obviously, and then path of like players or things that people do, and then the benefit of entering the zone from a middle point and seeing the defenseman giving so much ice around, which I knew already, like giving the, you know, the crossover to the inside a little bit like the McDavid style and coming back, would bring the D together and keep on going. But that amount of stats that comes with like a successful entry with full possession, and what leads to like, you know, offensive generating plays or anything. I love the way the guys are playing and using the free space. So a guy will enter the zone, whatever has pressure, but then we'll put the puck in an area where another guy will go, versus in our game, there's a lot of like tape to tape passes. Okay, so we often, because there's no contact, we have a bit more time. So often we overlooked an area pass versus like me trying to go through your legs to get to the girl, right? And I think that the concept of watching a few clips now and like seeing videos and all the stats that comes with it, and then I think that I can see the game a bit differently, and I also have a tendency to look for those area plays while entering in different areas, or even taking the middle to the outside and then look for something different than maybe I used to do. You know, looking for the perfect pass is not necessarily the right move. And you know, your coach tells you, everyone tells you, you know you should be doing it, but you're not doing it. And I think that data and the values that I see now every day has affected that a bit. Yeah. I'll settle for some plays that are smarter than the perfect ones sometimes. So my background before Sportlogiq had no product management at all. And I was reading a lot of like typical manager books and whatnot, and then there's one that I came across that was all about communication and also how to motivate people, but in a different ways. And right now I don't know why I don't have it in my head, but oh man, basically it's a concept of describing the human as a little man riding an elephant on a path. And I can't come up with the title right now, and I'm very sorry, but the concept of like when you're about to like motivate people or a team or people to make a change, you can tell them, and the guy will think, or the person will think, it's a smart move. But up until his gut feeling is seeing or feeling whatever is happening, it might, you know, follow the path for a bit, but at some point the gut will pull him away. And it's the concept that your brain is the little guy, your gut is the elephant, and the path that the person is giving you needs to be clear, right? So having the three concepts together, it's more so like you can't just tell someone, you have to go get them through the feelings. But you also need to like be able to give them the right directions to follow you, basically, or where you want to go. So when one is missing, often it just funks and it lasts for 2-3 weeks, a month, and then that's it. So if you want to change something, if you want to motivate your team, if you want to get the people that don't necessarily think your way, you have to bring them to a point where they see it with their eyes, they feel it, they know it makes sense now, and then they will go through a wall for you, basically. And I'm mad I can't come up with a title, but I love that book and I can reread it all the time. I will come up with it and I will send it to you. But I would say that all the books that I came had a lot to do with managing different personalities, the one that I came across, I guess. And I recently got certification or certified by Pragmatic stuff, and for a product manager I would suggest anyone and everyone to do those certification. They're straight to the point, they are good, they're like basically what we do on a daily basis and how we should tackle certain things, or you know, introduce ways to better techniques per se to talk to clients or get feedback from clients, or put products on the market. So it was that would be my two giveaway, I guess, for now. Product management related completely, yeah. That's a good one. So when it comes to very like pointy details on what a user might need when it comes to like a feature, so users being coaches, GMs, potentially players that will watch their shifts or scouts or whatnot. Sometimes when there's a bias, or not necessarily bias, but some confusion into how or when they would use it or whatnot, I saw myself at some point, I was like, but they would never use it after a period at that time. And then my team would look at me, but what do you mean? And I'm assuming that they know everything that goes on in between periods, and through an intermission, you guys do things out there, but we do things in the locker room too. And there's a time line, I guess, of things. And when we were having debates and whatnot about things, I saw myself a few times like explaining why things shouldn't be, or maybe didn't make sense, or it didn't matter if it wasn't like right away available, but we had a couple minutes to actually make it available for coaches or whatnot. And that became, oh, we didn't know you guys were doing that. Or, oh, we didn't know, you come from the locker room, there's interviews, then you might be getting your skate sharpened, you might get taped or seeing someone else. So there's like an actual like almost 8 to 10 minutes of like no one's in the locker room all at once. And the coaches are pulling you in between to see, maybe like do a line change, or they want to actually you or your line to watch clips because you're doing something wrong. All these things are kind of like stuff that I assumed everyone knew, but they didn't. And then that's when I saw myself coming, I guess, very useful in those moments of like, yeah, but no guys, they won't need this. Or it would be, they would come up with a crazy idea that makes sense in data and in computer visions and stuff, but wouldn't really necessarily be useful, for instance, in a live game. And that's stuff that I was able to come up and just present like how a coach would see it, and then they would make their own like, oh, okay, now it makes sense. Their own kind of like a decision with it. It's not me telling them no. It's more so like, here's my 2 cents on it. Here's what a coach would do on, a daily basis type of thing, or with games and stuff. And then I guess my perception helps a little bit with that. And then kind of like hopefully saving times and not wasting our time building something that won't necessarily be useful for a coach specifically, for instance. Yeah, well, first of all, Izzy, your questions are really good. This last one is for sure one that I care for and I care about. It's kind of interesting that, first of all, I never worked in a AI technology company before. And the 2 first people I spoke with were Priscilla and Emily, 2 women, and that kind of shared a little bit of like the vision of Craig, but then obviously Sportlogiq, everything that's all about it, it's an interview, it's the gist of it, whatever. And then when I met with Emily, there's a lot of even through her voice of like her wanting to fight for having more women in the industries and more women in our own company, and she sees me in a certain spot and the role and blah blah, and it kept on coming and whatnot. And the more I was thinking about it, and the more I could relate to it, in a sense that I don't know what the ratio is, but it's really low as far as like 1 to maybe 10 guys per se, maybe in our company, and maybe it's even bigger in other companies a bit. And we're getting better because I see more and more female being hired, which I think is awesome. And I play in a sport that's historically a male sport in a way. And I would say and argue that all female athletes, are doing their sport because they love it as much and they're as passionate, if not more passionate, than their male counterpart, right? If we're talking soccer, softball, like rugby, anything. So having the opportunity to be in these positions, having the opportunity to fight for my sport, but to be also in a company that fights for women's equality too, is just amazing. We have all these rooms here that are named after great women in sports industries or sports related, or even that have affected sports. And of course we have George in here as well too, that is in there. He's But I couldn't stop myself from relating to what is happening in the tech world and what is happening in the sports world. And we need more women in the tech world. We need more women in sports that are fighting for their rights and for the opportunities to have equal opportunity than their male counterparts. And I don't know, it just became more and more clear that I should be here and that I should keep on pushing, and that I should give this tech world a chance in a way. Yeah, I think, I think this company is doing it right too. It depends on the higher up and how they want to do things. And I would argue that it's the same when it comes to sport. It depends on who's above and if they want to make the change or not, and if they want to jump and make history with us. I think it always, if we keep pushing, we'll get there. That's all. I think enough is enough has been kind of like the motto of our year in my sport, and I think that the tech world is seeing it, and I think that Emily was seeing it too in a way, and being like, hey, we need more women here. We have these women that wants to be developers, that wants to prove like people that they can do and they can do more than guys and whatnot, and that it's open to them as well too. Because I think it was just a closed area. Like you see it from the outside a little bit, and then you don't know if you belong. But yet, if we have more women talking about it, talking about their experience and talking about their life, then it becomes like the doors are opening everywhere, and it becomes like, if you can see it, then you be it. And that's the exact same thing that we're doing with the younger generation in hockey right now. If they can see us on TV, they can dream to be us, right? If they can see us training outside and it looks fine that we're muscular or we're like different than others, then they can be at that too. Like we can be role models in all fields. And I think that when I first came in, I secretly probably looked at Emily and was like, wow, she's a great role model too, and I want to be here. Like it just happened, type of thing. 2 minutes left in the period, and I am loving life right now. I'm loving what I'm doing. I am grateful for the opportunity that I actually have to change the face of my sport, and I want to do it for the ones that did it before us and paved the way to be where we are. And now it's our time to, make that second step and take it to the next level. And I want to do that in my working place as well too.